On a remote ranch on the outskirts of Amarillo, Texas, lived a man in his mid-40s named Jack. He was known for his calm, solitary nature and a sadness that enveloped him like a constant shadow. Vast plains and distant mountains surrounded the ranch, creating a landscape that was both beautiful and desolate. Jack had once been happy, but tragedy struck his home when his wife died suddenly from an unknown illness. The loss was devastating, and from then on, a deep melancholy took hold of him. His children, John, aged 10, and Andrew, aged 8, also felt the weight of this absence, but they were too young to fully comprehend the depth of their father's sorrow. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Jack sank deeper into solitude. The ranch, which once echoed with laughter and joy, was now filled with silence and despair. Jack found solace in alcohol, his only escape from the overwhelming reality, leaving his children increasingly neglected and alone. After his wife's death, Jack began drinking uncontrollably. Day after day, he sank further into alcoholism, which prevented him from properly caring for his children. Amarillo, with its dusty streets and dry air, seemed to reflect Jack's inner desolation, which he could barely endure. Being so young, John and Andrew struggled to understand the loss of their mother and their father's emotional absence. Their home had become a dark, sad place where happy memories slowly faded away. Jack's lack of attention and affection further aggravated their situation, leaving them vulnerable and alone. The neighbors of the ranch, though compassionate, could do little to help. The community itself was poor, and resources were scarce. Occasionally, a kind neighbor would offer them some food, but these instances were rare. The children's lives had become a constant struggle for survival, while Jack became increasingly lost in his own abyss. Jack's addiction became so severe that he could no longer keep his job at the local ranch. Day after day, he wandered the streets of Amarillo, drunk and disheveled. Jack's reputation quickly plummeted, and the few friends he had began to distance themselves, unable to help or bear witness to his decline. Without a stable income, the situation at the ranch deteriorated drastically. The ranch experienced a shortage of provisions and neglected the upkeep of the home. The furniture gathered dust, and the walls, once adorned with family photographs and happy memories, were now empty and worn. Jack, lost in his addiction, hardly noticed the physical and emotional deterioration of his home. The absence of a current father figure deeply affected John and Andrew. Without supervision and support, the boys began skipping school and spent most of their time alone. Their desperation drove them to seek any means to survive, from hunting small animals in the fields to begging in the town streets. The brothers' childhood became a constant and harrowing struggle. John, at just 10 years old, took on the responsibility of caring for his younger brother, Andrew. With their father absent most of the time, the brothers quickly learned to fend for themselves. The nights were especially difficult. The house, cold and dark, felt immense and desolate without the protective presence of their mother and the guidance of their father. To find something to eat, the boys often ventured into the arid landscape surrounding the ranch, armed with an old shotgun that Jack kept at home. Occasionally, they managed to catch a rabbit or bird, returning to the ranch with something to eat. However, many times they returned empty-handed, facing nights of hunger and desperation. The Amarillo community, though aware of their difficult situation, could not always help. Poverty was a constant for everyone, and resources were limited. Some neighbors, moved by compassion, would offer food from time to time, but these aids were sporadic and never sufficient. A constant struggle for survival marked John and Andrew's lives, while their father sank deeper into his own despair. When all hope seemed lost, Jack found a new job as a night watchman at an old ranch on the outskirts of Amarillo. Although the work was hard and the nights lonely, Jack saw this opportunity as a way to redeem himself and provide a better life for his children. The ranch, though deteriorated by time, had an air of mystery that intrigued Jack. On his first night of work, Jack said goodbye to his children with a mixture of hope and sadness. Riding his old mule, he headed to the ranch with the intention of fulfilling his duties and proving that he could still be responsible. The journey was long and dark, surrounded by the sounds of coyotes and the songs of nocturnal birds, creating an atmosphere that combined the beauty of nature with a sense of unease. The ranch, once majestic, was now in ruins, overrun by weeds and silence. Jack built a fire to keep warm during the cold night and sat down to watch the flames, reflecting on his life and his mistakes. As he watched the flames dance, his thoughts drifted into a deep meditation, seeking solace in the tranquility the fire provided. That same night, while Jack was lost in his thoughts, a figure appeared on the other side of the fire. A man in dark clothes with a large hat covering his face appeared. The presence of the stranger was both unsettling and fascinating, and Jack couldn't help but feel intrigued by him. "Good evening, Jack. I'm glad to meet you," said the man in a calm, deep voice. Jack, surprised, responded cautiously, "Good evening. Who are you and how do you know my name?" The stranger, without revealing his identity, explained that he had worked at the ranch before and knew the place and its inhabitants well. The mysterious man continued talking, revealing that he could see Jack's suffering and wanted to help him. "Jack, I see many things. I can see your pain and the burden you carry. I'm here to offer you a chance to change your fate." Despite his initial distrust, Jack felt a strange sense of hope upon hearing the stranger's words, wondering what kind of help he might be offering. The mysterious man revealed to Jack the existence of an ancient chest filled with gold coins buried on the ranch grounds. He explained that this treasure could be the solution to all of Jack's problems, but there was one important condition. He should only take 3 coins. "One for each of your children and one for yourself," said the man firmly. "That will be enough to change your life without attracting misfortune." Despite his initial skepticism, the stranger guided Jack to the precise location of the chest's burial. The promise of a better future for his children gave him the determination he needed. At midnight, with the help of a shovel and a pickaxe, Jack began to dig. After several hours of effort, he finally found the chest. When he opened it, his eyes gleamed at the sight of the shiny gold coins. Remembering the man's words, Jack took only 3 coins, although the temptation to take more was strong. As he held the coins in his hands, the man reappeared, reminding him not to take more than allowed. Jack, grateful but still doubtful, promised to follow the instructions and use the gold wisely to secure a better future for his children. On his way back to the ranch, Jack felt a mix of excitement and fear. The gold coins in his pocket represented a new opportunity, but also a great responsibility. As he walked through the silent streets of Amarillo, he passed by the town's saloon. The sound of music and drunken laughter tempted him to enter and celebrate his good fortune. Jack struggled against the urge to enter, remembering that the gold was for his children, not for his old vices. However, just as he was about to continue on his way, a woman of dazzling beauty came out of the saloon and approached him. "Are you leaving already, Jack? Come, let's have some fun," she said in a seductive voice. The temptation was great, and Jack felt his resolve starting to waver. Finally, giving in to the temptation, Jack entered the saloon with the woman. Sitting at the bar, he invited her for a couple of drinks, and they began to chat. In his mind, he knew he was making a mistake, but the seduction of the moment, the longing for companionship, and the comfort of alcohol were too strong. The night, which promised to be the beginning of a new start, turned into a test of character that Jack could not pass. Matt, a well-known drunken bully in town, interrupted Jack and the woman as they were enjoying their drinks. Matt approached Jack with a sarcastic smile and a challenging tone. "It's been a while since I saw you here, Jack. What miracle brought you back?" he asked, his eyes fixed on the gold coins Jack had imprudently shown the woman. Seeing the coins, Matt demanded that Jack play a card game with him, betting the gold. Fearing Matt's violent reaction, Jack had no choice but to accept. As the night progressed, luck seemed to be on Jack's side, with him winning several rounds and managing to keep the coins. However, the tension increased with each victory, and Matt's eyes filled with resentment and greed. Finally, as the saloon was about to close, Matt drew his gun and pointed it at Jack, demanding he hand over the coins. "There's no other option, Jack. Give me the coins, or I swear you won't leave here alive," Matt threatened. Fearing for his life and thinking of his children, Jack handed over the coins. Desperate and humiliated, he left the saloon, regretting having given in to temptation and losing the opportunity the mysterious man had given him. Back at the ranch, Jack was devastated. The chance to change his life and that of his children had vanished due to his own weakness. Despair and guilt overwhelmed him, but he knew that the chest was still buried at the ranch. Determined not to give up, he planned to return and take another 3 coins, hoping that the mysterious man wouldn't find out. That same night, Jack armed himself with a shovel and a pickaxe and returned to the ranch covered in darkness. The air was frigid and dense, and the sense of surveillance never dissipated. He reached the mesquite tree where he had unearthed the chest for the first time, and he began to dig with a mix of desperation and hope. The work was exhausting, but he finally managed to unearth the chest again. Opening it, Jack was shocked to find the chest filled with broken bones and ashes instead of gold coins. Disoriented and terrified, he stumbled back and fell to the ground. Suddenly, the voice of the mysterious man resonated in the darkness. "I warned you, Jack. Greed and lack of will have condemned you." Jack, frightened, pleaded for forgiveness, but the man continued, "Now you will take my place, guarding this cursed treasure until someone else comes to take your place." With those words, Jack understood his fate and felt his life crumbling before him. Jack was paralyzed with terror upon learning of the chest's curse. Under the moonlight, the figure of the mysterious man became clearer, revealing a gaunt face and eyes that seemed to see through Jack's soul. "A long time ago, I too was tempted by this gold," the man confessed. "I failed to use it wisely, and now I must guard it until someone else takes my place." Understanding the magnitude of his error, Jack tried to escape, but the muddy ground made it impossible for him to climb out of the hole he had dug. Each attempt to climb out resulted in a painful fall. The man's words echoed in his mind. "Greed always ends up destroying men." The storm intensified, and Jack felt that the sky itself was weeping for his fate. Desperation led him to shout for help, but he knew that no one would hear him in the dark night. The mysterious man approached and spoke with a voice full of gravity. "Jack, the gold coins are cursed. Whoever takes them without my permission will face severe consequences. Matt sealed his own fate by stealing from you, and he has already paid the price with his life. However, you, Jack, have committed the sin of greed and returned to the chest despite my warnings. You will now assume my role as the keeper of this cursed treasure." Jack felt a cold shiver run through his body as he understood his fate. With tears in his eyes, he begged for another chance, but the mysterious man shook his head. "Your punishment is not only for your greed, but for your lack of care and love towards your children," the man said, before disappearing into the darkness. Trapped in the hole and surrounded by the storm, Jack accepted his fate with resignation. He became the new guardian of the treasure, condemned to an eternity of solitude and repentance at the old ranch. The following morning, a couple of shepherds who were passing through the land with their goats sat under the mesquite tree where Jack had dug the night before. To their surprise, there was no trace of the hole or chest. It was as if nothing had happened in that place. The sky shone with an unusual clarity, and the air felt fresher after the storm. The shepherds, unaware of the tragedy, engaged in a conversation about Matt's mysterious death, as his own horse had trampled him to death. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, John and Andrew woke up to find that their father had not returned. The boys, used to Jack's absence, felt lonelier than ever. However, Mrs. Smith, a compassionate neighbor, took pity on them and decided to care for the brothers until the situation resolved. She offered them food and a safe place, giving them a ray of hope amidst the adversity. Jack's story became a legend in Amarillo, a reminder of the dangers of greed and the importance of responsibility and family love. The townspeople told the story to new generations, warning them about cursed treasures and the spirits that still roamed the old ranch. The legend said that Jack's spirit now wandered the ranch grounds, guarding the cursed treasure and waiting for the day when another unsuspecting person would try to claim it. Despite losing their father, John and Andrew grew up with the guidance and support of the community. They learned from Jack's mistakes and strove to live a better life, avoiding the paths of greed and despair. They buried the curse of the gold in the past, but its lessons remained etched in the hearts and minds of those who heard the tragic story. The ranch, wrapped in its aura of mystery, became a symbol of warning about the dangers of giving in to temptations and the costs of human errors. I really hope you liked this tale. I am thrilled to share these stories with you. Share this video with others so that we can keep growing and more stories can reach more people. Kindly provide your thoughts and experiences in the comments section. It will aid in my further development. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Many thanks, and I hope to see you again soon.